Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here alongside Mike Gallagher. Mike, almost to 100%. It sounds like you're almost there. You're almost all the way back.
Yep.
Happy to hear it in your voice. I hear the energy coming back. How are you on this fine Thursday?
Feeling good. No more This Is Fine backgrounds.
Exactly.
Feeling good. Everything on the second half of the season. It's all good. It's all good. The
It's
nice little mini 5-game slate. Nothing too
it,
crazy tomorrow.
it's hoodie season here in New York City. Trying to feel a little cozy and comfortable today. 5-game slate on the docket today. Want to first and foremost, if anybody out there, it seems like all the people that I interact with in New York City are traveling for MLK Day weekend. So if you are traveling, safe travels out there. Enjoy your holiday and extended weekend. We will be here with all of the NBA content to keep you busy if you'd like to be. But 5 games on the NBA docket tonight. Not a lot of health and safety protocol stuff. It's more just straight injury stuff. So let's get into it. Let's start with Brooklyn, which is the biggest spot on the slate. They're playing Oklahoma City, and they're playing Oklahoma City in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn means no Kyrie Irving. It's also the second night of a back-to-back, and they are in an incredible stretch where they play 11 games in 17 days. So I think you're going to see a lot of different iterations and combinations of Brooklyn players over the course of the next 3 weeks because they had some games postponed. They're playing Kyrie in half of these games. It's just kind of a mess. They're going to rest Kevin Durant tonight. Mm-hmm. And in addition to having Kevin Durant out, they're also without Nick Claxton, Joe Harris, Kyrie. Patty Mills is also going to rest. LaMarcus Aldridge is also out as well. So what do you think? We've seen Steve Nash go with all sorts of crazy lineup combinations. We saw David Duke starting, now Kessler Edwards starting. What do you think things look like from a rotations and starting lineup standpoint for Brooklyn tonight? Everybody's going to play James Harden. We know that much. But who are these secondary pieces that we could potentially attack?
Yeah, they're missing a lot of offense, right? You're taking out Patty Mills, taking out Durant, and taking out Kyrie. Should mention that this KD thing was coming from a mile away. Yep. Nash said they're going to try to find a spot to rest him, and here we are. But, they need offense. So their offensive substitutions have been Cameron Thomas, so he would be looking at a pretty big role here. Maybe 6-man. We saw when they were really shorthanded a while ago, they brought him off the bench. His minutes are actually really bad, so I think his ceiling is pretty good. So expect him to pick up some playing time. We know they'll play a lot of David Duke Jr. Kessler Edwards has been really good, and they'll still play a lot of Day'Ron Sharpe. He's been really, really good lately, picking up a lot of front court minutes. So he'll pick up most of those center minutes. They're going to have to use James Johnson more as a 4. Probably bring some other guys in the rotation and run a little bit smaller. They could certainly get away with it against OKC, so we'll maybe see some Bruce Brown at the 4 to fill minutes there. But, I think the headlines are going to be, obviously, you're playing James Harden. I'll be looking to play Cam Thomas. Don't know what his price is, but he's a guy I'm probably pretty fired up to play in a pretty good matchup here. We'll see a little bit of DeAndre Bembry as well. His minutes should be really high. Kessler Edwards will probably play a ton too. Another guy to look at.
Who are you expecting to start here alongside Harden and Day'Ron Sharpe with the other kind of 3 spots that we're looking at?
Yeah, I think they're going to start Harden. Obviously, Day'Ron Sharpe would start there. Probably Bembry. He would get the Shea matchup. I think Cam Thomas does start because they do need a little bit more offense in that first unit. And then probably Kessler. I think they're pretty comfortable with him, so I'd probably in that route.
The one name that I was going back and forth on interchanging there was Cam Thomas and Bruce Brown. And the only reason, because Bruce Brown, when they pair him with Harden, they can get some offense out of him with cutting. They'll also do some pick and roll stuff with Bruce Brown on occasion. So that was my only other thought there, but we've seen Bruce Brown kind of fall out of favor of late with Steve Nash in the Brooklyn rotation. So hard to know who Steve Nash is going to go to. Starting lineups will tell us some of the story, certainly, but even then, I mean, it could be kind of a mixed mash. Do you think there's any chance, or do you think there's a decent chance that, because Blake Griffin was playing kind of deep into the blowout last night, they had used to not play him on back-to-backs. Do you think there's a chance that we see him out of the rotation and back to Millsap or James Johnson, or does it not even matter? Will those guys not play enough that it wouldn't matter?
No, I think he'll play. I think he'll play pretty good minutes too. So, probably won't be looking to him because I think they're going to want to play Day'Ron quite a bit. But I expect Blake to be out there.
Okay. In terms of other questionable situations, let's talk about Steven Adams, who's questionable on the injury report last time with health and safety protocols. Questionable on the injury report this time. Once again, Memphis has played so well. They've won 10 games in a row. They've really leaned on these Jaren Jackson at center lineups that have been super effective. I don't think there's any reason to rush Steven Adams back, given the lineups have played so well and been so effective. But what do you think the likelihood of seeing Steven Adams return tonight is?
Pretty likely. We saw him get the Q tag with the protocols in the last game, didn't play. So usually you get that next tag, you have a pretty good shot to play. So, that'll be cutting down Zaire Williams as they go a little bit bigger with Kyle Anderson more as a 3-man than a 4-man. Maybe they don't go with as much of that Tyus Jones at the 2, which was really successful for them, especially down the stretch against the Warriors. So maybe that gets cut down a little bit. Xavier Tillman would pretty much go away. Brandon Clark's upside would lose quite a bit. He's been playing awesome. So those are probably the main takeaways. So honestly, we're probably hoping he doesn't play because it opens up so many potential avenues for value from the Grizzlies team.
On the health and safety protocols front, and along with Steven Adams, we've also got George Hill, who got upgraded from out to questionable now. I don't know if we see George Hill. There were some coaching comments yesterday that suggested it seemed pretty unlikely that we would see George Hill, but Milwaukee's backcourt situation isn't quite as dire. They've gotten Grayson Allen back. They've gotten Dante DiVincenzo back. They've got Pat Connaughton back. We still saw Wes Matthews in the starting lineup and play 29 minutes and play pretty effectively last game against Charlotte. Do you expect George Hill to return tonight? If so, how do you think it shakes things out? I would guess that it's just kind of moving minutes around from Galloway and Hood right now, given the way that Wes Matthews has played. And then the last part of the question for Milwaukee is, do you think we'll get back to seeing Connaughton or DiVincenzo or Grayson Allen into that starting lineup and Wes Matthews minutes kind of pulled back?
No, I think they're going to kind of stick with it. There was some comments from Darvin Ham, who's filling in for Mike Budenholzer, who may coach tonight. We'll see. That they're having a little bit of trouble running their Chris Middleton-centric offense. So I don't really think they're going to change anything up. You mentioned the coach quotes are pretty dire that George Hill returns. So it should be a pretty similar approach. The Hornets did a really good job against them in their kind of back-to-back, not consecutive days, but in back-to-back meetings to slow them down. Bobby Portis was out of rhythm. So I think they kind of just stick with what was working there. DiVincenzo will still be limited after he hurt his ankle again in warmups earlier this month. So I wouldn't expect him to play too much more there. But maybe Grayson Allen.
That's what I was thinking. Can we get Grayson back in the starting lineup?
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense. He's a much better catch and shoot guy. Where Noora kind of scores on his own. So I think that would be a possible move. But as far as like the core pieces, should be pretty similar.
But do you think Noora would be more likely to be replaced than Wes Matthews in the starting lineup right now?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
They've been running on Wes a lot for defense.
Yeah, the return of all those wings just gives them a lot of different options.
Mm-hmm.
So something to monitor there. I still think it's the same old deal with Milwaukee where it's, Giannis and Middleton and, maybe you can pick apart Portis at a cheaper price tag, but the secondary guys are going to be hard to find any sort of consistency with. And honestly, Wes Matthews in the starting lineup and Noora out of the starting lineup would be even better for Giannis and Middleton. Just get them more floor spacing, lower usage players, so on and so forth. So, all right, in terms of new injury situations to focus on, the one big one is in Portland where, we've been relying on Anthony Simmons in the absence of Damian Lillard, Norm Powell, and CJ McCollum, but they will be without Ant tonight. So what does this rotation even look like? I know we were trying to figure out who like the backup point guard would be in this scenario. I imagine Dennis Smith Jr. will play a ton. CJ Ellaby will probably have a bigger increased role as well. Ben McLemore, Nasir Little, all these guys, but like, who are the guys that like, will they be able to keep them competitive? There's just a lot of questions here with Portland, but what do you expect the starting lineup to look like tonight?
Yeah, basically you're just going to put DSJ in Simon's spot. I think that's pretty straightforward. And then, CJ Ellaby, they had him, handle the ball a lot in summer league. We've seen him play some backup point guard minutes at times when they're missing point guard depth, whether it's, two of whoever they're using in point guard. We've seen him fill in there. So I would expect that to be the case. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Ellaby like really cuts into DSJ if he kind of gets it going. So probably some pretty good leverage. Everyone's going to probably want to play DSJ today. So I think Ellaby, if he gets it going, assuming he's like dirt cheap, he'd be a guy to possibly look at if there's going to be massive chalk on DSJ, which there probably is going to be. So, a little bit more Nasir Little. Obviously, Robert Covington's been playing really well. He'll play a bunch of minutes. Ben McLemore's minutes are really secure here too. But, it'll certainly be Ellaby and DSJ would be the two guys to benefit most.
Do you think there's like, do you think it's a straight 9 or do you think there's a chance that they go 8 with how thin they are?
Yeah, they probably could go 8. Yeah, I mean, we saw Tony Snell like barely sneak in there. They don't have a lot of depth in the backcourt, so they might just kind of keep it like 3-man backcourt and fill the rest in for the front court minutes with Ellaby being a combo 1-2. He's certainly got the size to play really even 2-3. So yeah, I think it could be real thin in the backcourt for both Ellaby and DSJ to maybe both get there.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot and one that I think we're going to have to update some minutes projections on too, just because I'm like looking through what the initial assumptions were. And I mean, they still have these guys on the roster like Jaron Cumberland, Cameron McGriff, Brandon Williams. I mean, it's kind of a mess, but whether they play those guys or not, I'm not sure. And that's really where it comes down to like, is it an 8? Is it a 9? But there's certainly going to be a lot of value available in Portland just because of the mass exodus of usage and talent from the starting lineup. So definitely a situation to keep a close eye on. And I don't think starting lineups will tell us a lot, as you said. I think it'll come down to how tight they're playing as a rotation for some of these other guys. Obviously, in the starting lineup, Nurkic can absorb a lot of usage. McLemore can absorb a lot of usage. So can Dennis Smith Jr. Covington not really built to do that. So I don't think his role changes a lot. Little is probably going to get a look at a little bit more of a featured scorer type role.
Yeah.
And so a good opportunity for Nasir Little tonight for sure.
Definitely.
Tough matchup though with Denver. Okay. Jalen Noel, Moses Moody also, out doubtful. Moody, I don't think is a big deal. The Warriors are obviously very, very deep with Klay Thompson's return. They are on the front end of a back-to-back. We're expecting Klay to play tonight, sit tomorrow. Could be the case for some of these other guys as well. They're still without Draymond Green, the Warriors are. So anything new that we should be talking about with the Warriors in terms of what the rotation might look like tonight?
Yeah, we saw Moody kind of cut into JTA a little bit. JTA had probably one of the biggest busts I can remember for a player that was somewhat chalk and he was cheap and everything. So that helped him a little bit, giving Nash one fewer option to go to there. So something to keep in mind. But yeah, generally not too much changing. I think JTA probably gets another crack at it after he really flamed out. They probably want him. I think it makes more sense. Maybe not. Maybe they go to auto.
They might go auto because of size purposes.
Yeah,
just
size
get a little bit more
too.
meat on the bone going up against Giannis would be my guess.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a tricky spot. They're going to miss Draymond here quite a bit.
Yeah, teams are very, very deliberate with getting extra shooting against the Bucks. So yeah, I think auto's probably going to start there now that I think about it.
Jalen Noel doubtful on the injury report for Minnesota. How does this impact things for them?
Yeah, so this is kind of you wouldn't think it would impact the front court, but losing that bench option for scoring was why, as I'm struggling to find the minutes here, because Cat's minutes got crazy hot, and after the game, Chris Finch said he had nobody to go to on the bench that he felt like could generate offense. So I think he played 42 minutes for Cat. So losing Noel really kind of shifts things. They're going to really have to lean on their starters a little bit more than usual, especially in a game that they're going to want to get in Memphis and after they really let themselves down against the Pelicans. So pretty pumped for this one, even with Memphis playing some pretty good defense. But I expect Cat to really be aggressive. D'Lo should play a bunch. Ant, who played terrible in the first half, got together in the second half. I expect those three guys to pick up some really, really big offensive roles in this game.
And then for Denver, the return of Will Barton tonight. He kind of did the hokey pokey on the injury report last game, went from out to questionable to back out, is going to be available tonight. Obviously a huge difference maker for Denver just in terms of having a secondary scoring option. Good matchup tonight with Portland. Revenge spot for Will Barton.
Yeah.
What do you take in terms of what this means for the rest of the Nuggets options tonight?
Yeah, he should be good to go. We saw probably like a inconclusive test or something like that to put him in questionable. Didn't play, couldn't clear. So he should be good for pretty full minutes. Monte Morris no longer has a minute restriction. We saw him play 34 minutes. Also, Bones Highland told Mike Maloney, quote, has no legs. He's had to fly commercially a couple times with the way things are shaking out for travel. So that was crazy that he straight up admitted multiple times that he can't move for the way things are going there. So Bones will probably go away entirely. Devon Reed will probably go away for the most part, but I think Monte Morris's minutes will be really good. Usage will come down. But yeah, the key is they got to get Jokic the ball. I mean, Jokic was not involved enough in the last game. After the game, Mike Malone was saying, we got to get our best player the ball. They were terrible. It was horrendous offense against the Clippers too, which we could talk about the Clippers a little bit too if we got some time. But we would expect Jokic to be pretty dominant here regardless.
Yeah, we're rolling through stuff tonight. So what do you want to hit on the Clippers? Because the injury report's pretty much the same. The health and safety protocols. What notes do you have for them?
Yeah, so crazy. Zubac's 10 minutes. Marcus Morris was also called tired, according to Ty Lue, and they really shook up their rotation. They kind of got away from some other guys here. So we saw Amir Coffey play 43 minutes in that game. Craziness, but he's really got the confidence of the coaching staff. So I think Amir Coffey's got a pretty good role. Certainly expect Zubats to be a little bit better. They're going to certainly need him against Valanciunas, so expect a little bit of a bounce back. But I do have major concerns about his minutes upside if he's not moving around well. Sometimes guys cannot come back from protocols and struggle. So tricky spot for Zubats. Don't know what his price is, but he'd be a really tough one to go to even on a short slate.
Not everybody was as upset with the Nuggets offense as you were, Mike. As Holly notes in chat, she thought it was fun watching Austin Rivers just dribble in place, which is really what Austin Rivers does really well.
Yeah,
dribbles very aggressively and goes nowhere on the floor. Like really like the person who pounds the keyboard super hard to type, one letter at a time. Okay, I think that does it for a quick injury report for just a 5-game slate. We'll be back again tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern to cover all the injury information for Friday's big slate. If you are behind the paywall with us at Established Run, it'll be myself and Mark Dankenbring making his Established Show debut this year. We got a little bit more time from Mark now that football's winding down. So we're going to steal some of that time, get him on camera, and we'll be breaking down the slate at 5:30 Eastern tonight for a 7:30 lock. If you are not subscribed to Established Run's NBA DFS content, we did just lower the prices for the rest of the season packages as well. So now is a great time to get involved. If you're totally uninterested in all that, you could at least hit the subscribe button on our YouTube.
They got to be at least a little bit interested. They're listening to this.
Yeah, and they might not be. They might just be people that are not interested in giving their hard-earned dollars away. So just instead of dollars, give us clicks. We're willing to negotiate on this. But the content is free at the price of a click. So click on the subscribe button to our YouTube page. Make sure you get notifications whenever we go live. Click the like button. You could even smash it if you like, and help circulate our content around so we can continue to grow this channel and provide great free content for you each and every Monday through Friday. All right, best of luck in your NBA contest tonight. Enjoy the games. We'll see you tomorrow at 2:00 Eastern.